What's up, guys? Lance the Obscure Movie Guy coming to you once again with another fun-filled, fact-filled video that you probably won't care about, but we're going to do it anyways, trying to change the world one post at a time. Now, a few weeks back, I was contacted by Phil Herman, who's a very interesting guy, and got to talking with him for a little bit, and he wanted me to go ahead and do a review on his Christmas anthology horror film from 2023 called I Slay on Christmas. So let's take a quick look and dive into what this movie is all about.
Unravel the mystery of four eerie pine cones, each harboring a macabre Yuletide nightmare that blurs the line between dread and reality. This holiday season, prepare yourself for a spine-tingling dose of horror that will forever change the way you see Christmas.
So basically what we have is four anthology horror / Christmas type stories and a wraparound story that encompasses them, all four of them together, based around these four individual eerie pine cones, each of them telling a different story throughout the course of the film. It's basically set up as four short stories with the wraparound story. It tries to tie them all together, but doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense. And we'll dive into that a little bit. I will say, because it is four different anthologies, they are all written and produced in different types of budget, audio tones, different people involved in each one, and some of them better than others. So the first one you have is All Chopped Up with Joel D. Wincoop, who, man, that's a creepy bastard, let me tell you. So in the first one, All Chopped Up, Joel D. Wincoop does an amazing job acting this one out, basically as like an over-the-top, sexist, fascist, unrealistic, creepy bastard. But he does an amazing job at it. Really commend the acting throughout all four of these anthologies, really. But Joel D. Wincoop comes off as a creepy bastard that you don't want to deal with, you don't want to come across. Hates Christmas, hates his son, hates his wife, and just loves his camera and his boobies. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely an interesting thing. And the one thing I found was, as I dived into this first anthology, is that, you know, from start to end, you didn't really get a resolution. It was really just a bad story to tell. And I don't mean bad as it was written bad, like it's a bad story, like that guy's a bad dude. And in some cases, anthologies, you know, Pawn Shop Chronicles, American Horror Story, there's not always a resolution to some of these stories. They just are like an urban type legend. This dude kills people because he's got a few screws loose. He's a bad guy. And Joel D. Wincoop did an amazing job acting and being, obviously he was over the top, but it was on purpose. It was definitely had an intent on why he was over the top and came off as crazy and just creepy as he did. Now in the second anthology, we actually go to a bit of a foreign type film. This is called The Best Company. I don't understand Spanish, so you do have to read the subtitles, but I was actually really impressed with the production value of this one, because a lot of it plays out as a newscast, obviously while you're reading the subtitles, and that part was actually done really well. I really felt like I was watching a legitimate Spanish newscast on these homicides that have been happening around town. The overall story of the second anthology film has you thinking that this is going to go one way, like they purposely wrote it like you're going to be able to figure this out. It's not that, you know, it's pretty obvious what's about to happen. And then they do this complete twist in the other direction. And you're like, oh, snap. that was not what I expected. And it was kind of a nice little twist at the end. Nothing that was too overbearing, but really I like the production value on that one. I really felt like I said, I really felt like I was watching a legitimate Spanish TV newscast for most of that one. Really well done. In the third film, we have Regifting, that was done by Debbie D. And again, this one kind of akins kind of back to the first one. There's a bit of a sexual assault involved, sexist guy. Not as hardcore as the first story with Joel D. Wynkoop, but still nonetheless, you know, you have this storyline that's kind of going one way. She's saving herself. She thinks it's time to, she's dating this guy and they want to move their relationship up a notch. And it turns out this guy's like a complete asshole, like out of nowhere. And you're like, whoa, what the hell was that about? So again, kind of goes one way and the very end steers off in another. And then the last anthology of this film was Christmas Revenge. I had to think about it for a hot second. And this one I think I enjoyed the most. AJ Lard plays Santa Claus, and he actually did a really good job acting in this one. And he's been kidnapped by this guy who blames all of his life's problems on the mere fact that he caught his mother kissing Santa on Christmas Day when he was a young boy. And again, you have this storyline, you know, Santa's been kidnapped, this guy's torturing him, beating him, Mrs. Claus is coming to save the day, and then at the end you get this kind of like crazy little twist and you're like, huh, interesting, didn't see that coming. So, and I like that one. That one probably had the most cohesion of the four stories. Probably aside from Joel D. Wynkoop, overall had the best acting of the four stories, and also the best special effects, which is another thing I want to talk about. Obviously, you know, this was done on a micro budget. And each individual story has a little bit difference in production value, special effects, audio, you know, and really it was probably my biggest complaint overall with the overall theme of everything was the audio. In some cases, the audio is very low and then the music is very loud. So you find yourself having to play with the volume a lot throughout the course of the film. But overall, some of the special effects, I'm not going to say they're bad. You know, some of them are kind of obvious, like, oh, that's a mannequin with some fake blood splattered on it. And then in other cases, you're like, holy crap, that guy's got an actual axe stuck in his head. Holy shit. So that's kind of a little bit all over the place as well, but not necessarily a bad thing. The other thing I will say about the wraparound story is that I didn't find it to be as cohesive as if it just would have left the individual stories left alone by themselves. You try to do this wraparound story with these 4 eerie pine cones, and you do have like a monologue type scene at the end of this film where you have a guy kind of preaching on a podcast, trying to tie these things together. And I felt like that scene ran probably 5 minutes too long. Tried to wrap the wraparound story in with the anthology. But that part, you know, I feel like the wraparound story doesn't necessarily need to be told or presented, but the 4 anthologies themselves were actually pretty interesting. And again, this is done on a micro budget, so if that's your type of thing for a lot of these independent filmmakers, this is definitely worth the watch. There's a lot to take away from there, from the type of production value and what these guys are doing with a little bit of money that they have. Now again, Phil Herman's been doing these types of movies for 30 years. The guy's actually pretty good at what he does. He's got a couple other things coming out. He's got Unearthed coming out. He's got Doomsday Stories, which is already out. And they're currently working on Jacker 3, which has been it's obviously going to be a trilogy, is a third Jacker movie that he's done. And they are doing that on a modest $7,500 budget. The Indiegogo campaign is currently closed for that movie, so they're not taking any more donations for that particular film. However, if you are interested in donating to the film, they have Jacker 3 magnets, they have Jacker 3 t-shirts, you can get copies of I Slay on Christmas, you can contact Phil Herman directly through Facebook. He'd be more than happy to sell them to you. I think the magnets are like $10, shirts $30. So, but Jacker 3 currently in production. He did post a video just last week on his Facebook, from behind the scenes stuff of the filming that they're doing. So that's currently in production. Unearthed, I believe, is in post-production. And Doomsday Stories is already out, available video on demand. So, if you like this kind of stuff, like, subscribe, and comment to my channel. Look up Phil Herman on Facebook and get in touch with him and see how you can help the campaign move along. and share the video. I'll see you guys in the next one.